Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Tuesday, 9 September. I am your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the French Parliament has ousted the Prime Minister, deepening the country's political crisis. Nepalese police have killed several people after a Gen Z protest. And Thailand's former Prime Minister has been sentenced to 1 year in prison. So firstly, France's parliament brought down the government on Monday over its plans to tame the ballooning national debt, deepening the country's political crisis that is weakening the Eurozone's second largest economy. Lawmakers ousted the current Prime Minister and his government with 364 votes against the veteran centrist politician and 194 in favour. President Emmanuel Macron, who is facing calls from opposition to dissolve parliament and resign, will instead hunt for his fifth prime minister in less than 2 years. His office said he will appoint one in the next few days. So what? I think this is a pretty desperate move by Macron. It's pretty clear that the current French political kind of situation isn't working and that they need to have a new vote to rejig parliament and then try and bring in a prime minister who is actually going to have majority and can effectively rule the country. However, Macron doesn't want to do this because it seems highly likely that France's far-right National Rally Party will win the election pretty decisively, which would lead to some pretty radical changes within the country. Also, the call for Macron to resign is pretty fair. 5 prime ministers in 2 years is a pretty sad effort, and it shows how much the country doesn't agree with the decisions he's making. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a last-ditch effort. I don't really see it working, and I feel like it's just going to keep dragging France further and further down the drain while not really achieving anything. So it's a bit shit. And next, police in the Nepalese capital, Kathmandu, opened fire on Monday on protesters, killing at least 16 people and wounding dozens more. Tens of thousands had taken to the streets to protest corruption following the blocking of social media platforms such as Facebook, X, and YouTube. On Tuesday, the government announced the lifting of the controversial ban, and reports suggest social media outlets were once again accessible. So what? I mean, this is a pretty growing trend around the world to see the youth of a country rising up against the ruling class. It's likely due to the same kind of issues that we're seeing all around the world around rising costs of living, low job prospects, and possibly the cost of housing, but I don't really know what the situation is in Nepal around housing. But yeah, pretty heavy-handed response from the police here, killing 16 people. Clearly, they lack a less than lethal option, which is a bit shit. I said in my post last night, if the police are kind of held to account and the government shows willingness to, call the police up and hold them to account for these killings, then the protests may fizzle out. However, if they don't, it's possible that it could continue to grow as a movement, especially now social media is back. That's the main way people organize these protests. So yeah, we'll have to see how that police are dealt with in the country. And that may give us a pretty good sign on what's to come. And lastly, Thailand's top court ruled on Tuesday that the ex-Prime Minister did not serve his jail sentence in 2023 properly, ordering him to go and serve 1 year in prison. The judge ruled that sending him to hospital was not legal and that the defendant knows his sickness was not an urgent matter and staying in hospital indefinitely cannot count as a prison term. In the court ruling, the court had issued a warrant to take him to a Bangkok remand prison to begin serving his 1 year term. The court was also probing whether officials had mishandled his return to Thailand in 2023 and served time for corruption convictions. So it looks like he'd been in exile for 15 years after he was accused of abuses of power that led to the military coup. Far out. Well, yeah, about 15 years ago. I remember this. I was about to go to Thailand on holiday, and I was pretty worried that it would ruin my holiday, but it didn't. So it's pretty good to see that the country is willing to, make sure that he can't play the system and just go chill out in hospital for a year instead of going to an actual prison. It's pretty uncommon around the world to see such a high-ranking political position being called into account for kind of playing the system. So yeah, I don't know. This might bring some kind of trust back into the government, which is lacking in Thailand. Possible that this could bring some trust back into the government, but I think that will take a bit more time. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!